All right, guys. Now I'm going to take you through an entire foam rolling sequence. This is literally for everybody, okay? So no matter what position you are in, whether you have tight glutes, you have tight hip flexors, you have a sore back, it does not matter. Now, if you do have, let's say, sore lats, you might want to focus on that specific area a little bit more because you're tight in that muscle. Obviously, the tissue and the muscle quality needs to be broken down. And that's all we're essentially doing. It's like a deep tissue massage, right? We have layers upon layers of muscle tissue all over our body. And they get tight and bound up, and we actually get knots and adhesions inside those muscles, inside the muscle tissues. So now all we're doing is we're breaking it down. So if we have a knot here and we dig on it with one of these guys, we're going to break that adhesion, smooth out the muscle tissue, and we're going to have a lot more laxity, movement, flexibility inside that muscle. We're going to perform a lot better, less likely to get injured. We're going to feel a lot better while we're training. We're going to get better results, essentially, okay? So I'm going to take you through the basic one I would recommend everybody to do to make sure that everything head to toe is properly moving and properly feeling good, right? So first, we're going to start with our back, okay? This is actually not for my muscle. This is for my thoracic spine. So I don't recommend rolling out your low back. I only recommend rolling out your lats and rolling out the middle of your back, and you'll actually get some pops inside that spine, and it's really just a mobility, right? Allowing me to rotate a little bit better. So all I'm going to do is put this mid back. I'm going to give myself the biggest hug possible, and I'm just going to roll down and up. And you might not have heard it, but my entire spine just went pop, 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 pop all the way up, okay? So I literally just opened up that thoracic spine a little bit, and then I'm just going to move into my lats, okay? So for here, hand behind my head, opening up that wing, and I'm literally just rolling, okay? We're just going to roll the lats. Now, you'll spend anywhere between 10 to 30 full seconds per muscle group, spending a little bit longer on the ones that need a lot of attention, right? So if my lats really aren't that sore, I'm going to roll them out a little bit, but I'm going to move on, okay? I'm going to really focus on the spots that I have a lot of adhesions in, okay? Next, we'll go upper back. So for here, there's two options. For my rhomboids, again, I'm going to hug myself to kind of wing out the scapula and just roll. And for my traps, I'm going to put my arms behind my head, prisoner style, and I'm going to roll the traps, okay? And I can open here, and I can close them here. But essentially, as you can imagine, it's pretty self-explanatory. Roll the muscle. Open it up, get it on the foam roller. You can use a lacrosse ball, and there's plenty of other tools. But the key is you just roll that muscle, okay? Pretty basic. Next, we're going to go glutes. Now, this one is huge for everybody, especially those who have low back issues, okay? So I really, really recommend this one. Now, level one, obviously, if you have really, really tight glutes, you just roll back and forth, okay? Now, if you have issues with your low back or you have hip mobility issues, this is the one I recommend. This is for our parafemoris, which is our upper glute, and it runs diagonal on the top of our glute. So what I'm going to do, if I'm rolling the right side, I'm going to cross that right leg over my knee, post up on that right hand, the same side, okay? And I'm literally just rolling back and forth. So there's not a whole lot of range of motion, but the key here is that I just go back and forth, rolling that specific muscle. And I can tell you what, this is pretty painful for me because I have pretty tight parafemorises, which is why I get low back pain, okay? So that one's huge. Next, we're going to move down to the hamstrings. On this one, I do recommend doing one at a time. Because they're a big muscle, it's really hard to dig a foam roller into that big muscle group, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my leg, applying all that pressure on this right leg. Then I'm just going to roll from my knee up to my glute, okay? Going back and forth, and I'm literally just rolling. Now, the key here is let's say I'm a little bit tighter on the medial, the inside part of my hamstring. I'm going to turn a little bit, angle it. I'm going to find that knot. When I find that knot in that trigger point where it actually kind of shoots a little bit of pain, I'm actually just going to sit on it. And I know it sounds messed up, but you want to apply that pressure and just wait until that pain dissipates because that's literally releasing that triggered muscle, okay? So it's a good thing. So you're going to sit there and do that on that trigger point. Next, we're just going to go right down to the calf, okay? And you'll do both legs. I'm going to do one leg just to show you guys on this video. Same thing, I'm crossing my leg and I'm rolling out. And I do recommend, especially on the outside of your calf, usually people have a lot more trigger points on the outside. Go to the outside, and as much as I never have clients doing calf raises and stuff like that unless they're going into a bodybuilding competition, I do recommend rolling your calves a lot because regardless of who you are, what you do, you walk every single day. Meaning you use your calves every single step you take. So it's very, very important to get those triggered muscles out, because that will trigger up and it'll cause pain in your knee, which will affect your lunges, it'll affect your squats, it'll affect your deadlifts, it'll affect a lot. And essentially your knee is everything we need when we're walking around and moving, right? So we don't want to bug that. After that, we're going to go to our IT band. This is the band attaching our knee to our hip. Okay, and this one can be pretty painful as well, but it's very important because just like the calf, you use it every day. Every time I take a big step, every time I sit down, bend my knees, squat with my hip, bend over, anything. Every time I move my hips and knees, I'm using my IT band, so it gets really tight. For here, there's two ways you can do this. First way, I'm going to cross that knee over, okay? Down on my elbow, and I'm just rolling from here, and I'm using that as a little bit of a balance point. Now, if you're really triggered up, or if this isn't enough to dig in there, you can go stacking your legs, and you're doing the same thing, and you're rolling. Now, this applies a lot more pressure, and I will say it's a lot more painful, but it gets the job done pretty good. Okay, next we're going to our quads. Same thing as you can imagine before. We're just rolling. Level 1, I'm just rolling on both knees. Okay. Level 2, I'm going to cross over, get a little more tension and pressure on that quad. Okay, rolling out from your hip to your knee. And the really important one is going all the way to the top of your quad, okay? The rectus femoris is that top muscle in your quad. That's the one that's going to directly insert into your hip flexors, okay? And you have a lot of hip flexors. Most people who have desk jobs sit around a lot, move around a lot, bent over a lot, doing sit-ups a lot, biking. All these movements cause a lot of tension in our hip flexors. So what happens when we go to squat? Our low back gives out. We get back pain. When we go to deadlift, our hip flexors are tight, glutes aren't going to fire right, core is not going to fire right, our low back gives out. So another one of the biggest reasons people have low back pain is really just because they have tight hip flexors. So the key here is release the quad, release up in that hip flexor, and it'll open up and you'll have a lot better. Better deadlifts, better squats, better movement in general, and a lot less pain. So that's pretty much foam rolling 101, guys. I would hit all those areas before you train, and if you have the extra time, do it after as well.